So in this last one, I'm just going to show you a couple of really quick touch-up tricks that I did. Um, I was mentioning in the last video that I had added all of these um, windows here, but they didn't necessarily look right until I did some perspective work on them. So let me see if I can find one that I can redo and do some perspective on. Okay, like let's say this one. What if I wanted to put this one on the other side of the building? I'm going to duplicate it and drag it over here, okay? And something is not right, okay? There's a really neat perspective tool in there that I recommend you not use unless you've got a ton of power in your computer, because it'll really slow things down. And instead, I just use the transform tool to make perspective adjustments, and actually, since I know how to draw in perspective, I don't even really like to rely on the program to make the perspective decisions for me, because I can do it visually. But if you don't really understand perspective yet, then it might be a good idea to you know, learn a little bit about it before you try to use this tool. But one of the principles of perspective, and I think you can see this, is that lines that we know to be parallel in real life, when they move away from us, they tip in towards each other. And so like the side of a building would appear to get shorter as it went away in the distance. Even a window, it should be taller on the side that's close to us and shorter on the side that's far away from us. You can kind of see, here's the line that goes down on the roof line of the house. Here's a line that goes up on the ground line of the house. Okay, so even though we know those are parallel, if you're standing right in front of them, that's not how they look when you're looking at them from a corner. Okay. So I've got a little problem with this window here then. It's kind of like getting bigger as it moves away from us instead of smaller. Now, of course, one thing I could do is I could flip it and it would probably look pretty good, but I'm going to do it another way just to show you what you can do. There's a couple of transform tools you can use. Edit, transform. Okay, there's this one called the Transform Perspective tool, and I personally don't use it much, but it is, yeah, that worked okay for me right there. Okay, so I could do that. Okay, what I normally do, let me duplicate this window again. I'm just going to stick it over on this other building for an example, and it's going to look like it's in the wrong place again. It looks really wrong over here. So I really need to do a lot to it to make it look like it's on the same building with on the same wall with these ones over here. I'm going to go back into Edit, Transform, and this time I'm just going to choose Distort. And distort is not going to do my thinking for me. I'm going to have to actually, do this myself. But a lot of times, I don't feel like I can control the perspective the way I would like to. And I think it's just easier. It might be easier for you to use the perspective tool, but a lot of times if you have something else you can line it up with, it's easier to just grab the four corners of something and line them up with the four corners of something else, and then it's kind of mimicking that perspective a little bit. So I'm going to throw that one away because there's nothing really I can do it to make it look all that good. And let's see, I'm going to bring back, okay, I'm going to bring back a few of these windows now. Before I do anything more with, I was going to show you the puppet strings. But I want to show you the castle, because the castle didn't look right at first either. Okay, I'm just going to make a couple things invisible here so we can see the castle. But the castle, when I made it bigger, Let's see if we can see the original photograph. Where's my castle? I really apologize about the background noise. Please disregard. I'm trying to do this video quickly. Okay, you can't see the castle too well here, but it's really far off in the distance, and so that it's a very tall tower, and if something really tall, you're standing under it, the lines that go up higher are going to appear to tip inwards. You don't really have that effect if you're standing right under a 2 to 3 story building. And you don't have that effect if you've got a really, really tall building off in the distance. But if you're standing right under a really tall building, it's similarly like these lines appear to get, converge towards each other. The lines on a castle, on a tall building, will also appear to converge. And so before I did any distortion on this, I'll show you, am I on the right layer? I'm not, I just activated it, but I do this all the time, so I won't be surprised if you guys do it too. If anything goes wrong, it's probably because you're on the wrong layer. That's rule number 1 in Photoshop. I'm just going to reverse perspective it for a second. Okay, so when I started out, it looked a little bit more like this. It was off in the distance, and it looked okay that way because, the sides seemed more parallel since it was really far away, but by making it bigger, I brought it closer to us. And now something doesn't seem right, it just seems a little off. And so if it was really that close to us, it would be tipping in. It would be a little smaller at the top. And so what I did, I think I did use the perspective tool for this because it was just a little bit, it was just too easy not to. And I didn't do it, I didn't go crazy with it, you could certainly do that, but you see how distorted that makes it. Just did it a little bit, and remember, it's always a good idea to save a copy of the original in case you screw this part up. I didn't in this case. I probably should have for demo purposes, but okay, so there that is. And finally, let me make, what other layers did I disappear? This one, and this one, and this one. Okay, what else is, okay, so the strings. How did I do these? I could have done a much better job on these. I kind of got in over my head and I thought, oh goodness, I'm going to have to finish this now. And it's not like Illustrator where I can just easily draw a line and stroke it. What I had to do to create a line, I'm going to create a new layer and show you what I did. It's really not that big a deal. Okay, but there is one tool you can use to create a single row of marching ants, and you can stroke it. Okay, and that is where you've got your rectangular or your elliptical marquee tool. You can also make a single horizontal or vertical row. Okay, I selected out a yellow. I wanted something that would kind of show up, but not be too obvious. I selected out a yellow from the building back there, and I applied a stroke, and applying a stroke is very different in Photoshop than it is from Illustrator. It really kind of makes a lot more sense. And notice I was on another layer. If I forget to do this and I do it on a layer that's already existing, those pixels are stuck. Okay, so make sure you do this on a new layer. And okay, so I do edit, stroke, and I think I applied about a 5-pixel stroke to it, okay, which isn't very much. Let me zoom in and show you. Okay, but now I'm going to deselect. Okay, so you've got this stroke right here. It looks a little dramatic. I think I brought the opacity down. I think I brought it down to about 60%. Yeah, that works. Okay, so now what I basically have, I can treat this like an object if I just leave it as a layer. Okay, I do have a line. It's just, it's just one long line, but I can transform it, Command T, and I can rotate it. I can make it shorter, and basically what I did was I just made it short enough to manage, and then I just duplicated it many times. You know, probably if I was really trying to do a good job, I would have found some rope, you know, found a picture, really high resolution pictures, some rope, and actually I probably would have tied strings around my fingers and, you know, maybe even actually hung a real marionette off of my hand and then posed like the marionette or something like that. But, you know, I was trying to be quick, and of course it did backfire on me. I guess I need to take that opacity down a little bit more. Because we want these to show, but we don't want them to stand out too much. And then from there, it was really just a matter of duplicating these strings. Okay. And transforming them. That's all I did. Rotate it. Oh, and to rotate, I moved this little guy, this little rotation point. I moved it up to the top, because it made a lot more sense. Okay, and then I could, you know, run it. I could run it from wherever I wanted. Okay, so that's how I got most of these. Let me put them back. Oh, okay, these I'll show you in just a second. Make them visible again. This is a lot of layers. This is a pretty big file too. Okay, so yeah, if you get up close, it's not real impressive. I mean, if I was doing this professionally, I would have done a lot more. You know, I probably would have even, like, say when I posed, I would have tied some, you know, rope around my leg or something like that. And then I would have, you know, tied some rope around my fingers. But I'm just going to show you one last thing that I did. Okay, to get the little rings around my fingers is super, super easy. Again, I got a new layer. Not that I expect you guys to be doing marionettes, but I thought, well, as long as I did this, I might as well show you. I created an ellipse using the same yellow. I put a stroke, same number of pixels, same opacity. I think I had brought that down to 50. That's good enough. Deselect, and then I would just position it over the finger that I wanted and transform it to fit the shape. I'm only interested in using this part of the ellipse because the rest of it's going to go behind the finger. So when it's the right shape and the right position, I just simply came along and erased the rest of it. Ta-da! That's all I did. Okay, so there you have it. That is all the secrets to my not so masterful, but not half bad masterpiece.